Greetings, dear viewers. This is the Crossmoda channel. In this episode, I want to tell you about the history of a now-defunct Bulgarian motorcycle company called Balkan. So make yourselves comfortable and enjoy watching. Balkan is a brand of Bulgarian motorcycles that were produced in the city of Lovech from 1957 to 1975. A total of 271,500 motorcycles and mopeds rolled off the assembly line. However, let's start a little further back. 1938. Soon, the biggest human-on-human slaughter in history will break out, the Second World War. In 1938, the increasingly fascist Bulgaria decided to stop complying with the Treaty of Neuilly, which limited the country's armed forces. To meet the country's need for fighter planes, an aircraft factory was started in the city of Lovech, and by 1941 the main production facilities were ready, and the production of Dar-9 and Dar-10 aircraft began. During the war, the factory was damaged by bombings and artillery shelling in September 1944, and for obvious reasons it was impossible to continue aircraft production. Workers and engineers were left without jobs. However, everyone needs to eat, and after reconstruction the factory began producing bicycles. And in the early 1950s, the question of producing their own motorcycles arose in Bulgaria. Since Bulgarian engineers had no previous experience in building this kind of vehicle, it was decided to borrow technologies. Under the leadership of Dimitar Damyanov, a prototype called Balkan M1 was created based on the German motorcycle DKW RT 250, which was presented to the public at the 17th International Exhibition in Plovdiv in 1956. The obvious technical and structural similarities between the M1 and the RT 250 caused outrage from the DKW company. The Bulgarian designers were forced to change the appearance of the M1. The motorcycle went into production the following year, in 1957. At the same time, a group of designers was sent for training at the Jawa and Chizi factories. Perhaps that's why the 250cc M2 model, which appeared 2 years later, looks so much like the Jawa 250 Type 353. Numerous changes were made to the M2 model during its modernization. The new 250cc engine gained half a horsepower, a fourth gear was added to the gearbox, and the motorcycle's tank got chrome covers with the company's new emblem. Another model from those years was the Balkan Vesti 250C2, a sports version with the same engine as the M2. The sportiness was in the fact that the speedometer of the C2 version was marked up to 160 kilometers per hour, not 140. In reality, both motorcycles could reach a maximum speed of about 110 kilometers per hour.
No rider becomes an expert overnight. First, you learn from experienced riders.
Need help?
Investing can work the same way. Meet eToro, a multi-assets investment platform where you can follow top investors, view their portfolios, and even copy their trades automatically. Join real-time market conversations with ideas, trends, and questions as events unfold. And all of that connects to a wide range of assets, including stocks, crypto, ETFs, and more, all in one platform. eToro is a regulated service with over 40 million users across more than 75 countries. Start investing with eToro and get $50 worth of stock when you deposit $200 or more. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code and get your $50 worth of stock now. Join the largest social investments platform and learn from the pros. Now, back to the video.
The first models of Bulgarian motorcycles used separate seats for the rider and passenger, like on the IZH-49, a legacy from DKW. However, later the company switched to a single two-seater seat. In the winter of 1959, the first 10 units of Balkan 250K motorcycles were produced, which were specially designed for racing. The motorcycle differed from standard models by its raised fender and exhaust, a smaller headlight cover, and the placement of the speedometer. The aluminum cylinder had an increased fin area to withstand the harsh conditions of racing. The Balkan 250K boasted a power output of 18 horsepower. The Balkan company also worked on prototypes of motorcycles with engine displacements of 350 and 175 cc, but little is known about them, and they were never put into production. Civilian motorcycles were produced exclusively with a 250 cc engine until 1971. In addition to classic motorcycles, the company, amid the global scooter and moped boom, began producing mopeds and mokicks with two-stroke engines in 1961. The first model was the Balkan 50 MP. Balkan released two series of this machine, MP1 from 1961 to 1962, and MP2, also known as Lulin, from 1962 to 1967. The first series did not have a telescopic front fork and was equipped with a two-speed gearbox. Since 1962, a telescopic fork and a third gear appeared. Otherwise, these were identical machines with a stamped frame, a 48cc two-stroke engine producing 2.35 horsepower, with handlebar-mounted gear shifting and pedal starting. Another model was the Balkan MK50. This moped was produced from 1964 to 1967. Compared to the MP, a number of changes were made to this design: an improved tubular frame, a new 49cc MD50M engine without pedals, and with a 3-speed gearbox. The gears were shifted by foot. In 1967, the Balkan MK52 appeared. Structurally, it was the same moped, but with a different tank shape and headlight cover. The model was produced until 1971. Balkan MK52. U25 was a transitional moped model with chrome-plated side tank covers and a new MD50C engine. Soon, in 1971, the Balkan MK53 model appeared. The new engine, which was tested on the transitional model, produced 3 horsepower. It was considered the most successful and competitive model of the factory in its class. In 1971, due to changes in legislation in Bulgaria, turn signals appeared on the mopeds. The production of mopeds continued until 1975 inclusive. Also, in the period from 1971 to 1975, the company produced the small motorcycle Balkan M75. The Balkan was equipped with a 73cc engine which produced 6 horsepower at 6,600 RPM and could accelerate up to 80 km/h. By the way, the Balkan factory also produced cars. So in the first half of the 1960s, the factory's in-house engineers managed to design and build several running prototypes of the Balkan 1,200 car. But the factory didn't have enough resources to set up mass production. The Soviet Union came to the rescue. In 1965, the Agreement on Trade and Economic Cooperation between the USSR and the People's Republic of Bulgaria was extended. And already in January 1966, 20 specialists were sent to study the production technologies of the Moskvich 408 car. In the summer of 1966, another 90 people were sent. And already in November of the same year, the first Bulgarian Moskvich 408 rolled off the assembly line. However, these cars also had their own name, Rila 1400, chosen by voting. Rila is the name of a mountain range in Bulgaria. Apparently, the production of motorcycles was abandoned in 1975 in favor of expanding car production. And indeed, by 1990, more than 300,000 Balkan Moskvich cars had rolled off the Balkan factory's assembly line. At that very moment, the socialist bloc and even the Union itself was falling apart at the seams. The contract with ZLK was terminated in 1990, and the factory, now in a free Bulgaria, tried to preserve production by signing a contract with the British Rover and began assembling the Maestro model. But everything was going wrong. Then the market economy stepped in. It was very difficult for Balkan to compete with the giants of the market. And by 1997, only 100 people were working at the plant. Hundreds of engineers and workers were no longer needed by anyone. That's the story of the plant, my friends. The story of Balkan and the motorcycles and mopeds it produced. It's a rather typical story, but at the same time, a very telling one. It all started with the defense industry. specifically aviation. Right away, stories of Kawasaki and BMW come to mind. And at the end of the story, there was complete unpreparedness for the transition from a planned economy to a market one, and accordingly, collapse. For example, many factories in the countries of the socialist bloc, Jawa, for instance. That's it, my friends. My story comes to an end. You can support my work by being active on the channel or with a donation using the details in the description. Thank you very much for your attention. You've been watching the Cross Moda channel. See you next time. Subtitle editor, proofreader.